what a lot of men do, in my experience, is they may still want to get back with their baby mom, right? So they're giving a bit more money, they're acting like this, they're acting like that. Soon as they find out that woman is now seeing someone else, everything changes. I'm not going to give you as much money. I'm not going to come see my child as often because I know you need me to come see my child so that you can go out. So now I'm going to start doing that. Your relationship with that woman was based on the fact that you wanted to get back with her. That's not cool. To me, that's not cool. Like, how you and your co-parent are should be how you are throughout life. So if you then get with someone, it doesn't change your relationship. If, I don't know, something else happens, that person has another child, it doesn't change your relationship. But a lot of people have a relationship based on the circumstance. You know what? She's single. It may still work. That becomes toxic in my...
All right, guys, wait, hold up. So we looked at the analytics and apparently 25% of you who watch this podcast are not subscribed. Now, that doesn't make sense because if you're watching this podcast, then you clearly like it and you clearly want more. So the best way to get more is to subscribe. And guess what? Even do another thing, subscribe. Hit that little bell button and put the notifications on. So when we post this exquisite content, right, you'll get it directly in your notifications. So subscribe right now. Thank you.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of the Goodman Factory. You have myself, Goodman Manny. We've got Goodman Mike in the building. And we've also got a special guest today, Goodman Aron. So, gents, as we always do, how you guys doing today?
Blessed, blessed. It was a bit difficult parking here. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I might even have got a ticket by the time I get out. But no, like, this is, honestly, seeing you, man, like, on social media and actually being here, it's a blessing. So thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's good to have you here still. I hope you're parked on a single yellow.
Let's just get this done, innit? Let's just get this done quickly, innit? Like,
but yeah, I'm good, man. It's a good day to be good. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm good. Praise God. But we're here.
Good,
yeah,
good,
man.
good.
Another episode. Let's do this.
you know what though? I love the jumper.
Trying, bro.
Man. Superstar status.
I just don't fit in my jumper like you fit in yours,
you know
to be
what?
fair.
Yeah, I go a size down. that's the trick, yeah.
I'm trying to be like you, man.
It's a medium, yeah.
That's that Safe Space endorsement he's getting.
You know what I mean?
Check out the new episode of Safe Space coming out real soon.
Let's write that
Got
down
Goodman Mike there doing his thing on that episode. So yeah.
I'm trying.
Well, cool. Let's get started. So today's episode, we're going to focus on a topic that's quite, I want to say it's contentious. I just think it's an important thing for us to talk about, and that is co-parenting. If you've listened to our last episode, I hope you have. We had our special guests, Sace and JP, come onto the show, and Sace mentioned something that I think was quite important, and he spoke about the importance of men raising other boys that aren't necessarily your children. So us as men raising other children outside of our own families. And so with co-parenting, that is something that actually occurs. And, you know, both yourselves, you are co-parenting at the moment. And so what we want to do is we just want to talk about the dynamics of that, the difficulties in that. So without me speaking too much on it, I'm going to start off with you, Mike. Question I'm going to pose to you is, you know, what is co-parenting like for you?
Deep breath.
I was going to make it sound like, you know what? Easy. You know what? I'd say of recent times, it's easier. It's big, and I don't think there's an end destination either. It's gradually become more and more easy as time has gone on. But to start off with, because there's so much emotion involved with the two parties, and I mean in the parents, and you're not focusing on the kid as much as you should, it's very hard. You're always like butting heads.
Wait, sorry, brother. You know what? I've made a mistake. I think just for the purpose of those that are listening, do any of you want to define what co-parenting is for those, because we've made the assumption that people understand what co-parenting is. So what is that specifically? How would you define co-parenting?
All right, well, let's look at parenting, yeah? So they say parenting is the upbringing of your child from infancy to adulthood, right? So it's the raising of your child, focusing on their emotional, intellectual, social, and well-being, right? That's parenting. Co-parenting is that. It's just that you and that child's other parent are no longer in an intimate relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's making sure you're still doing those things, whilst not being together as a couple.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So, thank you for that. So, Mike, as you were saying, so the dynamics of co-parenting for you specifically.
Me specifically, I'm pretty sure it's probably similar with every co-parent. Obviously, I'm not saying all co-parents work this way, but it starts off, I feel, very, very, very hard because it involves emotion and how basically when you break up, it's not always smooth sailing, and then you have to now have the added dynamic of having a child and raising that child without being intimate, like you said. And then I feel like as you get older and as you mature and as you work your way around it, you find ways of just communicating without no, let's call it beef for argument's sake. But like, it just becomes more and more easy. You can communicate. You can say, there's a plan. Okay, this weekend you have him, next weekend you have him. You have like schedules and all the rest of it. I feel like, yeah. So for me personally, it's become way more easier. So of recent times is basically smooth sailing. But I wouldn't say it's complete like hassle free, of course, because there's still that sometimes there's someone will drop a little like sentence that you think, why is she saying that? Or I would say something. I'll be honest. I'm petty as well, so I'll say something and then
you're the instigator.
Yeah, not impossible. I can't say it's me.
Firefighter.
Yeah. She'll be like, why would you say that? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I'm oblivious to what's just happened, and she does the same thing, but. All in all, like she's calm, I'm calm, my son's calm, so we just try to keep it at that level. Obviously, when it gets to that, we don't what's it called? We don't add more fuel to the fire when you know the other person's gonna get angry. You just try to avoid that. It just makes it way easier. And then at the same time, you have to keep the child or children at the forefront of your mind. So if you manage to do that, it just makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah,
as well. But again, there's no end destination. It's always maturing together as co-parents, and the child is obviously the byproduct of your communication and the past love. But yeah, it's not easy, but you know what? It's cool. I'm happy.
It's fascinating though, because as you were saying that, it just dawned on me like you're co-parenting as long as your child's in your life, obviously for the rest of your life. So that means that person, you're tied to them, but you're working together.
Passively, basically.
Yeah, like not in the same way in the intimate relationship, but yeah, like you're trying to, and you have to, for the rest of that child's life. So that's quite an interesting dynamic I haven't really thought about. What about yourself, Aron? So co-parenting for you?
Boy, I got nearly 15 years experience in this game.
Boy.
So my eldest he'll be 15 in July, and me and his mum have pretty much, since he's been born, never been together. But I've also got an 8-year-old who I'm also not with his mum. So I'm doing this twice. And you know what? Even though I'm the same, my co-parenting relationships are very different because they're two different women. But I think touching on what Mike said, I think when you break up with someone and there's no child involved, there's that grieving period, yeah, where you can kind of delete their number, yeah, shut them off, shut down social media, get on with your life and not see that person again. Yeah, there's that element. In co-parenting, you can't do that. You've now got to somehow, if they've done you wrong, get over that person whilst potentially seeing that person every day. Like, that to me is one of the biggest hurdles within co-parenting. Depending on how you broke up, has a massive effect. Because if you're still holding that resentment and that anger, and now you've got to work together to sort out finances, you've got to discuss. Like, when you really think about the obstacles in co-parenting, yeah, like really think about the obstacles. There's financial, yeah, there's the routine, there's potentially new partners, yeah. All of these obstacles that would never be there if the child wasn't involved.
And we're going to get into all of those.
All of those.
That's well said as well, bro.
We're going to get into all of those. You know, there was something that we saw, Goodman Factory, we saw on your page, your Instagram page, that I think was...
Researcher?
Yeah.
Okay,
research. But to be fair, I think Malik's been a massive follower of yours for quite a while, actually, and he's the one that's put us on you. So just getting this correct, your Instagram page is...
Raising Boys _2 men.
Okay.
Because I'm a massive Boys to Men fan.
I wouldn't have guessed.
That was my next question. How did you come up with that name? No, it's true. Big up Boys to Men still.
I've seen them about 6 times in concert. I'm just like...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like,
That's wicked,
I'm
man.
a massive fan.
Yeah, same. I ain't never seen them.
That's the thing.
Them guys still doing concerts.
The thing is, yeah, like, quickly digressing, yeah, when I first thought of the page, I had like 4 names and I took them to my friends and I just threw that in there and I thought no one's going to pick that. And everyone was like, no, that's the name. So I just went with it.
Raising boys to men.
Yeah.
I like it. It's got a nice ring to it,
has,
still.
it has still.
So you picked up quite a big following. You know, you've got a community there now. I'm sure that community is made up of many men inspired and prepared to be educated by someone with all your experience.
You know what though? It's 60% women that follow me.
I was going to ask. Yeah.
40%. It's got to the point now. I was in Asda yesterday. I come out at Asda and I hear beep beep. And you see when someone beeps you, yeah, you automatically kind of start to walk to the car because you're thinking, oh, I know them. I didn't know that person. She wound down the window. She's like, yeah, I follow you on Insta. Keep doing your thing. I was like,
wow.
Big up.
okay.
Yeah.
Just went there to go and get chicken.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, someone.
Plant-based though. No chicken. No chicken. No chicken.
I forgot about that.
So going back to your actual Instagram page, you know, obviously your page, the purpose of it is, you explained to us the purpose of your page.
So originally it started as I wanted like a platform. Growing up, yeah, I don't really have too many videos of myself as a kid, like or many photos to be honest. So originally it was like a virtual photo album that me and my boys could look back on when they're older and say, do you remember that? Do you remember that? Over time, people started to kind of gravitate towards our relationship. And then I started being a bit more open and honest. I started going on a few podcasts. People wanted to know my upbringing story. From there, people started asking me for advice on this and that. And then I started to think to myself, you know what? Co-parenting is like a taboo subject. We don't really like to talk about it. Like when I started this job I'm in now, my full-time job, people assumed I was with the mother of my child. I never corrected them because I felt like, you know what? It feels a bit uncomfortable. They would say, how's your children? Yeah, my children are good. Oh, how's your partner? Yeah, my partner's good. But they're not connected. My partner is not my children's mum. But I just didn't want to say, you know what, I don't live with my kids. Because you feel a bit embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Stigma, maybe.
there's a stigma, especially to me as black men as well. There's that, another one, baby mum, yeah? Like,
BM now.
BM.
So
Short.
should just be one letter soon.
Beam. Yeah.
Just feel like B. But
yeah. So now I get that still. Especially when you talk about the stigma and that. So how's your page developed into what it is now? Where we see, you know, lots of, well, like you said, lots of women, but we see a lot of people engaging with your stuff, and clearly they want to understand and learn a bit more about co-parenting.
I think what started to drive me is the fact that my mum was a single mum growing up, right? My dad was pretty much, let's just say, not in my life. Like he may have popped in my life when I was like 6 for one day, again when I was 9, then when I was 16. I got 3 half sisters. None of them claim me as their brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So to me, I saw my mum grinding and doing her best to raise a boy on his own. And I know that there's so many other women out there, especially, yeah, that are going through something, and men, and we feel alone. Like, I broke up with my child's mum. Like, what am I going to do? There's not really a platform which kind of shows, you know what, this is normal.
Yeah.
We go through it, and you know what, here's some of the mistakes I made. Learn from me so that you don't make the same mistakes. If I could go back to my 22-year-old self, I'd slap him in the face because he was a prick. And that's me being real. He's a prick. But now I can look and realize that at the time, I thought I was right. Everything I was doing, I thought I was right. I don't want certain people to make those same mistakes because some things you can't come back from. Do you know what I mean? Some things you can't come back from.
It's true, man.
Like, we're talking about co-parenting, but there's actually a thing called parallel parenting. You ever heard of that?
Nope.
No.
So co-parenting is where you're working together to raise your child, right? You've kind of got the same concept, the same kind of like, this is what we want for our child. Parallel parenting is where you do not get along at all. There's no real communication. So the dad's over here doing his thing, mum's over there doing their thing. Like, you're not working together. You're both kind of like raising your child separately with different directions that you want for your child. But that's classed as parallel parenting.
So quick question with that. Legally, parallel parenting, legally, and co-parenting are the same in terms of custody, right?
Yeah.
It's just the dynamics
The
of
dynamics,
that is
yeah.
what creates the parallel and the co.
And the co. Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be exactly the same. Okay, interesting. So, going back to your Instagram page, there was it wasn't a video actually, it was a picture. And I imagine that this got a lot of traction, a lot of engagement because it touched us at the Goodman factory as well. And this was a post that you posted of your son's stepdad. Yeah, going to a football game. So do you want to, let our listeners know a bit more about that particular experience in that post?
So his name's Bradley. Let me just big up Bradley for one. Like, really, to me, like, I really rate him. Nice guy. I'll tell you the story. So my son's mum must have got with him when my son was about maybe 3. And he was around my son quite quickly. Yeah. And when I found out about that, I was tense because it's like, I guess to all of us, we have an idea of when is appropriate. Like, oh, it needs to be 6 months. It needs to be 9 months. Oh, it's been a year. It's okay now. And it hadn't been that length of time. Not that now looking back on that doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
Like the time frame, we can get to that, but to me, it doesn't really matter. It's how well you know the person. And I was kind of like, Rare, why has he been around him so early? Why this, why that? Bare resistance. And she was going to bring him to my yard to collect Tyler. Yeah. So there was pretty much a phone call, like, and this is where I'm honest. She might hear this and be pissed that I'm saying it, but I'll be honest. Like, so there was a phone call one day, and it was like, you know what? I'm with someone now, and they're gonna be with me when I come and collect Tyler. I was like, no, they're not. Yeah, they're not. Let's not do that. They're not, because I respect it's your relationship, but because it's so new, I don't know if this is gonna last, and I don't want that person knowing where I live. Yeah, that to me is a private thing. We don't need to get there right now. So he never came. They carried on doing what they were doing, and then it must have been after about 5 months. They even moved in quite quickly, but it got to a point where he was around a lot of the time, staying over a lot of the time, and his mum had to go somewhere, so he took my son to football because he stayed over. He was kind of living there. So she was like, yeah, you're going to have to go and collect him from football, but Bradley's going to be there with him. So I was like, okay. I go in there, didn't know what this guy looked like never seen a picture or anything. I go in there and I kind of sussed him out because everyone was quite old there, young guy, bald head, looked like me. Yeah. So I was like, oh, she's got a taste, innit? She's got a taste.
Got a type.
Okay, so I walk over to him. My heart was beating.
Just to I don't want to stop you,
No.
like not mean to cut you off there, sir. But I was gonna say, did you mentally have to prepare yourself before you?
Bro,
got to
I'm
that
talking to myself in the
point?
car. I'm talking to myself in the car. I'm like, you know what? Like, this is what you gotta say. You know what? Make sure you kind of got a certain stance in it. You can't have this man think like, yeah, you can't go in
be
there
slouched
timid.
up, yeah.
You can't go in there timid. Make sure the handshake is firm. Like certain
Thinking
things
about
that
all
you're
those
just
things,
overthinking it. Yeah, and then I get in there, and he's sitting down, got a Man United top on. I'm
straight
like,
away.
dickhead. I'm like, dickhead. Like,
That would have been me, boy. I can't lie. I would have slide tackled him. I can't lie. Oh man.
So I walk over to him. He's sitting down, and I think I might have tapped him on the shoulder or said like Bradley or something. And he gets up, and I think we shake hands, and I sit down with him, and I was expecting that uncomfortable whatever, and we just started talking. Like we just started talking, and he was able to tell me that he has a child. So straight away, and it wasn't necessarily, they didn't have the best kind of co-parenting relationship or whatever. And he comforted me. To me, once I know you're in a situation, you kind of know,
dynamics.
and he was respectfully saying, look, I'm not trying to do this, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I respect the situation. Man comfort, not that it was his job to comfort me, but he made me feel at ease. And from there, grew and grew and grew. They got engaged, they got married. I saw the love he had for my son. I saw the love my son has for him. And that to me is beautiful to see. I've always said, like, there can't be too many people loving your child. But some men are so resistant to that. Like, when they've seen certain posts, I've had certain men reach out to me and say, you know, I love that, yeah. I could never do that. I could never have another man around my child. And I'm like,
Toxic masculinity, I think.
But do you think it's because they don't want too many people loving their child, or if it's more of just their own, like, you know, their own personal ego and
insecurity, man.
insecurities, and maybe they actually have some, like, they might have good reasons as to why they may not want a particular person. Because you know how you said there's a time boundary, and you said it doesn't really matter, and you said no, it doesn't matter. In my head, because I'm not in that situation, I'm still leaning towards, well, actually, I feel like there should be a bit of a time period. But this is me talking from not the experience. In my head, I'm like, well, if you did bring someone over, like, to your house where my child is there after a week or 2 weeks of dating, in my head, I'm like, I don't think I'm lying to myself if I say I will be comfortable with that. But that's because I'm not in that situation. That's just I'm just projecting what I think doesn't sound right. But actually, you're saying if the guy's great, 2 weeks, it doesn't matter.
So let me throw a question at you. Yeah? Like, you're married, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How long was you, like, until you got engaged? How long was you together before you got engaged?
7 years.
7 years. Some people get engaged after a year.
Mm.
Some people get engaged after 6 months,
Mm.
and that lasts.
Mm.
Yeah. But we might look at that and say, "Oh, that's a bit quick." Like, what's her name? Maya Jama.
Yes. Yeah. With the basketball.
7
player.
months and she's engaged, right?
Mm.
And people look at that and they say, "Nah, that's
Can't be real or whatever.
yeah, that can't be real."
No, it can happen, man.
It can happen.
Especially the older you get as well.
I said, yeah, within their 7 months, they may have had more life experiences than someone that's been together for 5 years.
100%.
They may have done so much. So when we look at a time frame, yeah, how I look at it is, I could be with someone for a year. Like, I was with someone for a year. I don't want to touch on her too much, yeah, because she cussed me out on social media on a previous podcast I went for, yeah. So
Disclaimer.
But I was with someone for, like, it took us a year before I let them meet my child, and for me to meet their child, because I actually said, I don't want us to do that. Let's focus on us. But yeah, took a year. They met my child. I'm not with her now. Do you know what I mean? Like, my child's mum scenario, like, within 2 months, 3 months, he's met my son. They're married now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've been together, 6 years? Like, it depends. If in that 3 months you're seeing that person every day, yeah, and you feel, you know what, I know this person well enough, or you've been with someone for 12 months and you see them once a week. Like, it's hard to really say, like, what's an
no one
appropriate
situation is the same. Yeah,
that's true.
But there are understandable reservations though, because you mentioned one, for instance, like, and these are real things, you know, outside of just a child. Like, you may not want someone to just know where you live because they've been with your partner for a few weeks or a few months even.
Yeah.
You might not want them genuinely to know where you live, you know. There was another reservation that I had in my head that I feel like could be quite realistic as well. I think it's also, like, you know, not to take it to that place, but the reality of it is no one knows anybody completely. You know, so whether it's for a month, 3 months, or a year, the person that you're dating or the person that your child's mum is dating, don't know if I worded that right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, do they know that person as well as they think they do? Because they could bring you comfort. You may even see them, but that person may still be someone. So, like, I feel like these are genuine things that could cause people to have reservations. So it's good to know that actually you've got a rationale that's more focused on, actually, if the person is a good person and I trust my child's mother, those are the things that kind of matter the most, as opposed to my own personal kind of, like.
And I think that, and then time matters less. Like you said, yeah, just going off what you said, I feel like it depends on it can depend on how they meet. It can depend on the person, like you said, and then time then doesn't really matter because it depends on how you personally feel. Are you still emotionally attached to that person? Are you still hurt? Are you still in love with that person? And then they're obviously moving on. They're not on the same, let's say, the same page as you. So it depends on how you feel, and time. I feel like obviously at this age and after having nearly, I don't know, how old is my son? 7. So having maybe 4 or 5 years of this co-parenting experience, I get it now. Time doesn't matter whether they meet someone else or not.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's almost everything else, and how you feel and how you've got over it and how you feel hurt or how you feel like if you still love them or not. It just, time doesn't really matter. And like you said, you used Maya Jama as an example, 6-7 months, and she's engaged, and it could be because of many different things, and it doesn't necessarily matter about time.
Long money.
That as well, boy. Because he
It's
was
the long money.
slam dunked his way.
Nah, man.
6
I'm
months.
sure my jam is a love, man.
Yeah,
but
trust.
when your money is long, you can get engaged to someone over the weekend,
Come on.
and that's it. Still,
But you know what it is as well for me, yeah, is us as men, because I know there's certain men out there that look at it as that woman's had my child, they're mine now.
Oh, definitely.
There's a control element. Like, nah, you got my youth, so therefore I need to know where you are. I need to know what you're doing, like who you're chatting to. Let me see your phone. All of these things, yeah. I've been that guy, that 22-year-old version of me. Like, I thought I should be able to control this situation. And when I realized I can't control the situation, I drawed for the one thing that I knew I could control, which was money. So I tried to withhold money. And then I got taken my ass to the CSA. Yeah, but this is me being real. Because it got to a point, we was clashing a lot and there wasn't really a routine. There was no consistency, and the money I was given was very sporadic. And the money I was given was more based off of how well you've behaved rather than what I should be given. So it was more, now you've kind of taken liberties in my eyes this month, I'll give you 200. Next month, I might give you 3 bills. Next month, 1 bill. Yeah. And she said to me, I'm going CSA. And I was like, you realize if you go CSA, you might get less. But she said something to me that stuck to me to this day. She said, I'd rather get less and know every month what I'm getting than have that fluctuate based on what you want to do.
Like you feel,
Because she said, I can then control my life and what I'm doing rather than hoping and wishing and that. And I respect that. And I think that's right. Like, we should give what we're meant to give. I know certain men don't have a lot, but there's certain men that are spending money on trainers. They're looking a certain way, but then they're saying they can't give their baby mums money. It's like, it's priorities at the end of the day.
seeing as we're on the topic of money and finances, how does it actually work out then? So, does it have to go through the legal proceedings for the amount of money that's given to be determined, or is that done just through you and your child's mother? And I'm asking like questions as in like, give it to me as in someone that doesn't know anything, because I don't. Yeah. So I'm genuine. So like with the money, I'm not saying say the amounts that you give, but how does the court tell you that you need to give this amount? No. Or do you decide it?
So say for example, yeah, like me and my child's mum are cool. And we've decided, you know what, we sat down, we spoke, and we said, you know what, I'm going to give you 4 bills a month. And she's cool with that and I'm cool with that. There's no need for us to get anyone else involved because we have an agreement. At the point that she feels there is no longer an agreement, or that, I don't know, there's just this kind of like tension or some issue about money, child maintenance gets involved. What they will then do is they will look at what the man is earning, or the non-residential parent. Let's say that 9 times out of 10 is going to be the man, but the non-residential parent, they'll look at what that person is earning and they're taking into consideration certain factors. One factor, their salary. Another factor, how many children they have. And another factor is how often the child that you are talking about stays at their house. Those are all things that will determine how much money is handed. There's a rough figure where it's meant to be. You will give 12% of your salary if you have 1 child. For 2 children, you will then give 16% of your salary. What a lot of people think is if the man's giving 2 bills for 1 child and then he has another kid, he's now giving 4 bills. No. If he's giving 2 bills, he may now have to give 3 bills, but it's split between the 2. So each child now gets 150, whereas when there was 1 child, they got £200.
But either way, it's 12% of your...
It's around 12%, and I think it's capped at something like the max you can get. Like if the man's earning more than $3,000 a week or something like that, there's a cap. So it's like if the man's earning, I don't know, if you get certain ballers, they're earning like 100k a week, they're not going to be necessarily expected to pay their child's mum
like 50% of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, courts and CSA are 2 different. Someone asked me this the other day. Like, you would more go to court if it's in terms of how you see your child. I'm not being allowed to see my child, so therefore you would go to court. Child maintenance is pretty much done let me just quickly break it down. Sorry to be rambling so much. Yeah.
No, that's good.
So a woman would contact child support, right? And say, or child maintenance, and say, you know what? This is the child's dad. He's not giving me any money, or there's issues with money. And then what they would do is they would reach out to that child's dad and basically say, look, a case has been opened. We need you to provide us with certain information. Like your earnings, etc., etc. He could refuse, at which point they can just go to HMRC anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and get all of this information. The one thing with child maintenance, which is a bit mad, is once they come back and say, this is the figure that the mum should be getting, the man and the woman can then agree for that to be paid weekly, monthly, or whatever. If the man's kind of refusing, what child maintenance will do is just take it out of his paycheck every month.
Oh, swear.
But if they have to do that, the man gets charged an extra 20%.
And is it? I saw there's a 4% charge for
the woman.
The woman to receive it, so
Yeah.
they take a little bit off the top.
Whoa. So let me just go back to this.
Yeah.
Wait.
Trust me.
So if they have to basically get that money from you because you're just not paying up or you're ignoring them, they will take it out of your salary anyway. But then there will be an added 20% on top of what they're taking out
For them being involved.
and then you're saying a 4% on top of that.
For the receiving parent, will receive basically 4% less than the full amount. So let's say I don't know, they're meant to receive £100 or £200. You take 4% off that.
Oh,
So
so
pocket either way. So because you got me involved as CSA or child maintenance,
it's at the detriment to the person receiving as well, the recipient.
in a sense,
That as in they're getting a bit less than what they would have if you just basically answered.
It's
child
more
maintenance.
beneficial to just, you know what, like, this is what you're meant to pay. You two go off, discuss how you're going to do that and get on with it. And then what the CSA do is every year they will send both parents an update to say, because it's based on what you earned for the previous financial year.
Oh, okay.
So if your salaries change, the next year your child support could change.
Mm-hmm.
So what a lot of men do is if, for example, someone's doing bare overtime, yeah, and then they get put on CSA and they're like, you're paying 4 bills a month. And that person's like, no, but that's not my earnings. Because that's when I was doing bare overtime. I'm not doing that now. They can kind of look into that and see and maybe make an adjustment. But a lot of men will stop doing overtime on the basis that they don't want the mum to get more money. And to me, you're cutting your nose to spite your face there, because they're only going to get, if you earn an extra G that month, the mum's going to get an extra 2 bills, maybe. You're still getting an extra 8 bills. But certain men will say, no, I'm going to stop doing overtime now because
she's getting more.
As long as that amount you're talking about is after tax.
Yeah.
then they're thinking differently. Like, how much am I really getting? Yeah. Okay, cool. So that really helps to kind of understand the financial side of things and how it's worked out. So then, like, communication, I guess, then becomes
key.
Well, you guys tell us, what are the key things that make co-parenting work from your personal experiences?
For me personally, literally communicating without no low blows or no comments. Basically, I try to push my pride to the side here and there. Well, most of the time, I'm not petty. I'm joking, but obviously there can be moments where you're in your feelings or they're in their feelings. But I would say communication is definitely key. Me personally, I pay her a more or less a fixed amount every month.
Thought man was going to reveal the figure.
Don't do that.
We can't do that.
Don't do that.
She'll be like, that's not what you're... I'll get a text.
CSA.
She'll be like, that's not what you're giving me. Nah, but I'd say, I give her a certain amount every month. But it's a hard one because I don't know if anyone else does this, this is messed
No,
me
we
up.
don't.
This is basically, my son goes after school club and breakfast club. That there is daylight robbery. Them man,
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know if anyone else pays it, but I'm telling you now, I feel like I would rather just give her the cash than pay after school club and breakfast club, because they're taking sometimes more than you can even imagine.
How much are they charging? So I
remember how
can
much it is.
set the price right in my school.
I think after school club is like £12.50 a day.
Okay.
Something stupid like that.
Yeah.
but they don't give you the bill until I think it's like half term or full term.
Oh,
so
it's like
sometimes
quarterly.
Breakfast Club, I've seen, Breakfast Club at one point was like, I don't know, in the region of £600. And then after school club was in the region of £400, £500. So it's well over £1,000 for half term or full term. And then we're looking at each other like, oh, so the bill's here. And you know, when you start you're talking about money, we're already not comfortable talking about money with someone that you're not in
a relationship with. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're already not meeting eye to eye. So you're speaking about this large amount of money for your child. And it's not even going towards the child's maintenance, let's say. It's just going literally, you feel like it's to the financial institution.
Yeah.
But you
at the
know
end of
what?
the day-
That shows credit, because if I'm getting that right, you're saying that you will pay your maintenance every month and also contribute towards
The
the holiday.
Yeah,
extra
we'll try,
stuff, yeah.
It's hard.
Certain people look at it as what you get out of that 300 a month that is maintenance.
You have to
Pay
split it,
after school club out of that. Pay this after that. And CSA will agree in the sense of the money that parent gives per month is to cover clothing, is to cover this, is to cover that. But if you're giving money on top, although a lot of women will look at that and say, yeah, but he should. Like,
Yeah,
he should.
kind of thing.
But if we've gone down the child maintenance route, that man does not have to
technically.
give extra. So that is
Mm.
actually a bonus when we look at it like that. Although I believe that they should be contributing on top of that.
Partly because the coal part, I guess, makes you know,
Cooperation.
like if there's £600 now to make sure that our child is fed in the morning whilst someone has to go to work and someone's looking after them after school, you know.
Credit. I'll be honest. Credit to my son's mum. Like she pays her way. Like when it comes to our son, and I try my best to basically do the same. But of recent times, we've just come up with a figure that stops us from being behind in terms of after school club and breakfast club. Pay that, and then with her, she'll try and pay a certain amount of things for his upkeep, and then I'll try and split it with her. So I don't know. For example, he needs a new jumper or a coat. She'll be like, "Oh, it costs this. Can you give me half? No questions asked. It's for my son. I'll pay you half. Or if I get the money later on, I'll give it to you. Then can you pay it for me initially? Or I'll pay the money. You can give me half later. It's just easier. I feel like because it's about my son, as much as because it's about my son, I just feel like I have a duty to make sure his upkeep is perfect. I don't want him to feel like he's suffering or missing out. You know what I mean? Whether I feel bitter or not, which I don't, but in the past I probably was guilty of that. It's about him at the end of the day, or it's about the children, for example. So credit to her. We've managed to do it, and my son's happy, man. He loves both his parents as much as each other, so he's good, man. He's good.
It sounds like it requires trust too, because being a person so if you didn't go through the maintenance route and then you're now and then you are paying a certain amount a month, you kind of also, like, if she then starts saying, oh, like, I don't know, he needs new trainers or whatever, I'm sure there must be conversations that come along and be like, I'm sure I just bought this boy, or I'm sure, like, so the trust part must be quite key, because they can't keep asking you for things. So how does that...
I agree and disagree.
Go on.
So my reasons for disagreeing, are that the money we give per month, we need to not look at it as like, I've given you this money, show me what you've done with it. Yeah, you should have done this with it, that with it. No, like, that's the money we give. Whatever she decides to do with that is up to her. If we looked at it and said, wait a minute, my child's walking around with holy trousers, they're not eating, they look ill, question it at that point, yeah? But other than that, if we are giving money and we see our child's mum in a brand new outfit, brand new crepes, whatever, we can't start saying, where you getting that from? Like, we often, like I say, we want to control the situation. I'm giving you this money, where's it going? Who are you with? Who's this man? He can't come around my son at this point. This is when he can. And there has to be an element where it comes to trust, where you're like, I trust my son's mum. And because I trust my son's mum, I know she's not going to bring no idiot around my child. So therefore, I'm going to fall back a bit. You know what? I know that she's good with money. I'm going to fall back a bit. If she's asking, it's because I know she must need it. I'm going to help out. But because we can be so insecure or so worried that she's doing this and doing that and whatever, we start making situations more difficult than they need to be.
100%.
Cool. So it sounds like, though, what we're saying is the two things that have come out from this so far. Definitely communication is key. Like, you need to get that right for it to work. And then trust. Is there anything else that you think
Helps in a
co-parenting relationship?
Right. So I'm actually in the process of coaching co-parents. Yeah, I'm putting something together because I get so many people coming to me. I've decided to turn that into a business. Yeah. So I'm going to start delivering workshops and presentations on effective co-parenting. And one of the things I've been working on is how can I make it make sense? So to me, the co in co-parenting stands for communication, cooperation, consistency. If you can focus on those three things, it will provide the child with comfort. Yeah. And that is the key right there. The child needs to be comfort. Everything we're doing, everything we're arguing about, everything we're discussing has to have the child, like you said at the start, at the forefront. Like, if you're arguing about where your baby mum's was, what has that got to do with the child really? Like, or the child was at grandma's and you went out for the weekend. Why are we arguing about that? Like, do you see what I mean? We take our eyes off of the child because we still want that. She's mine. We've got ownership of a woman. I just don't see it like that. I genuinely used to. Like, I remember, I've told this story before. When my son was about 5, he told me, "Oh, mum's friend Dwayne."
It sounds big.
Mum's friend Dwayne. I met mum's friends. I met mum's friend Dwayne. Yeah, so I was like, okay, yeah. Then I start hearing Dwayne a bit more, like Dwayne. So then I turn investigator, innit? So I realized, like, I start questioning my son, like, to now looking at it, right, it must have been uncomfortable for him because I was like, so you seen Dwayne lately? So what's Dwayne look like? Like, was he tall? Is he small? Like, what cars he drive? Like, all of these questions I'm asking a 6-year-old at this time, yeah? And then it was like, oh yeah, Dwayne's been staying over. Like, how do you know he's been staying over? Like, oh, because his shoes are there. His shoes are there.
What size feet is it?
Nike or Adidas.
What size feet is it?
But I was hearing Dwayne, yeah? And I'm like, no, I need to find out. So I approach his mum. Me and her don't have the best relationship. I weren't getting no information. Like, she weren't telling me anything, which makes me question my son a bit more. But then Dwayne disappeared. Like, Dwayne's never been here since then. And I realized I went through all that stress, chasing the baby mum, trying to find out who is he, questioning my son. The man's not here. Like, we get so caught up on that. My child was fine the whole time. Didn't affect my relationship at all. But I wanted control.
It was Dwayne Johnson, by the way. It was The Rock.
Yeah. I can't even say that.
He went back to the States.
Trust me, like, I don't want none of this. I don't want no smoke, boy. I was going to say, I was similar to that at the start. Like, I was very much... the thing is, again, ratings to my son's mum, she would never bring any, like, idiot around our child. So I rate her for that. But at the start, I was very much hurt because she left me for my mistake. So I was just like, oh, rah. I've lost everything. Okay, great. So when she was doing what she was doing, didn't involve my son. Like, so someone was seeing her. Yeah. She was seeing someone, basically. But my son wasn't around it. So at the time, I should have been comfortable with that because he's not seeing none of this.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, nah, this affects him somehow. But when, obviously, in the position I'm in now, I realize you're just still hurt, Mike. You need to obviously find a way to cope and get over it and just communicate with her when it just comes to your child. Just focus on that. But at the time, I can't lie, I was livid. I was like, you're dating what? And I've been looking after her son like I was the single mum at home by myself.
You wasn't even done by it.
Exactly. And it was, when I think back on it, I can laugh at it now, but it was a serious argument. Like, I was really annoyed and I was really hurt. I felt betrayed in a sense. But if I could give advice to my past self
Mhm.
and just be like, bro, you're gonna be hurt. It's normal. But you just have to find a way to deal with it. Does it involve your son? No? Okay, then bro, that's all that. She's been good enough to not even involve the guy around your child. You know what I mean? Like, you should be happy with that. And if she did, she would do it in such a way, again, ratings to her, she would do it in such a way where she'll introduce the man to me basically and say, this is what's going on with me, and obviously it's going to involve our child. So I thought, let me just put that idea across, kind of thing. And I thought in an ideal world it would always be like that, but it's never always like that. Let's be honest.
There's so many things to touch on. Yeah, I'm so glad we're doing this because I feel like, again, this topic isn't touched on enough. But do you feel like you must meet the person before he meets your son?
I was wondering that.
9 times out of 10, I would say yeah, but there's a part of me that feels like, as long as he's cool, I want to know what he looks like. I want to know if the guy, like, from my judgment. But the maddest thing is, even if I'm gonna feel like I don't trust this guy.
What size feet he has?
Yeah, his feet are too big. His trim is off. I don't trust him around my child. But that would be just me.
Man's wearing a United top.
Yeah, 100%. I'll walk through the door, United top. I'll slide tackle him, 100%. Why are you wearing a Man United top, bro? But on a serious note, like, you don't necessarily have to, but I feel like it just makes things, the transition and just the continuation of communication and everything else that involves your child, it makes it a little bit more easier because it's honest and open. There's still trust there, I feel. If you do it that way, you don't necessarily have to do it that way, but for me personally, I feel like it will work. There's still a sense of, like, what?
So to answer the question, you would prefer,
Yeah,
you'd be prepared to be introduced. That's your preference, although you can understand why that might not be the case. But for you and for your expectations, that's what you would prefer.
That just it doesn't even have to be a formal meeting. It could just be, by the way, my man, the man that I'm seeing is here. Like,
Come in and say hello.
Yeah, come and say hello. Instead of dropping my son.
Or Zoom, Microsoft Teams.
You know what I mean?
Allow it.
Instead of Zoom.
A FaceTime thing.
Webinar.
It just be like, and the thing is, because I'm so sure, I'm just sure in myself, I'm not really bothered. Again, she does her thing for our son. But I'll just, if that was the case, it wouldn't be a thing for me. I don't necessarily have to meet him, I'll be honest. Is he cool? Yeah? Calm. Does Rome love him? Does Rome think he's a cool guy? Cool. My only thing is, don't spoil him. That's just one thing I've always wanted. I don't want my son to be spoiled. I want him to have true, like, proper values, have a great moral compass and all the rest of it. But if he's a baller, like, let him pay what he likes, but don't go and buy him a mansion at 8 years old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like
that's
that.
stupid, yeah.
But for me,
I don't
Very
necessarily
stupid.
have to meet him. I'll be honest. You don't have to meet the guy.
this is why for me, having 2 different co-parenting relationships, I get both ends of the spectrum. So with Tyler, with my youngest mum, I met the guy that turned into his stepdad. We're cool. My eldest, I go to drop him off one day at his grandma's. Like, he's probably gonna listen to this one day, or maybe even now anyway, because he's old enough. But and he'll remember it anyway. So we're in the car, and I look into the kitchen and I see a guy in there. Yeah, and I'm like, "Who's that?" And Amari says to me, "I don't know." Like, because they were staying at grandma's at the time, yeah. So he goes in there, I drop him off, keep it moving. Next time I get him, he's like, "Oh yeah, remember that guy? Yeah, that's Mum's boyfriend." I was like, "Okay, what? Man's just in the grandma's yard, like that."
Oh.
Like, okay. Drop him off again. I look in the kitchen, I see man there, top off. Yeah, so I'm like,
He's hencher than you, innit?
nah.
That's hard, didn't it?
No racism, white guy, ginger hair. I was not expecting it. Yeah, I was not expecting that
What you
look
saw.
at all. Yeah, I was like, rare. Like, I didn't even know that was your type,
Yeah.
innit? Like, but so I'm like, okay. That man was around bare. Then he moved into grandma's. This guy moved into grandma's, and I wasn't being introduced. I reached out to her. I said, look, my son said, this is your partner. Okay, cool. But like, if it is, I want some information. Nothing. Like, she don't we communicate pretty much via text. Like, pretty much via text. We may talk if it's necessary, but it's pretty much via text. They then move from grandma's, get their own place. This man's living with my child now. Yeah, never met him.
You don't know nothing
I
about him.
still had not met him. All I knew was his name. Yeah,
Boy.
still had not met him. I go to collect my son. He's of an age where I will call, he'll come out in the car. And I kept saying, look, I want to meet this man, I want to meet this man. It wasn't for beef reasons. It wasn't, although I'm getting more worked up, it was like, you know what? I want to meet this man, but she's acting like that. My son's cool, keep it moving. Then there was one time, he pulls up when I pull up. I jump out the car, yeah, run over to him, put my hand out. I'm like, Aron, yeah? And he's like, oh, like, nice to meet you. Like, man was a bit nervous, innit? Like, I'd done press ups that day as well.
Yeah.
So man had the medium shirt on.
Bursting out of his top.
But it was like, I was like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to meet you for a while. Kept it moving. Like, that was my introduction to him. Like, I think I've spoke to him once since then. But it was like, I had a person living with my son. Never got introduced to him. But I had to, because of everything I've been through, I had to realize, you know what, I can't do nothing about that. Unless my son says to me, this man is doing wrong, I'm not going to kick up fuss. Because it's feeding something that you don't need to feed. It's feeding an energy.
Is there anything within that though that makes you concerned? That your partner would, your son's mum doesn't want you to know? Or are you kind of in a position where you're like, actually, it's more to do with our relationship. She just doesn't want to talk to me, so she doesn't.
It's knowing a person, innit? Like, I feel like you know the way that person is. And it's like, I might not respect it. Like, I wouldn't mess with you. If you weren't my child's mum, we wouldn't be friends. I wouldn't really vibe with you. When I met you, I was 21, I'm 30, whatever now. I don't want to reveal my age. But like, it's realizing there's certain people that you just don't get along with. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, as long as, like, yeah, it bothers me. The way she is bothers me and the way things are bother me. But you know what? Not to the extent of where it used to. And I would drive down there, be out the yard waiting, like asking for things. Like, no, I'm past that because it didn't do any positive for me.
So you can accept that it's actually more to do with the person than it is she's trying to keep something from you. And I think there's something wrong with the guy. You know, it's the person.
She looks at it as I should know, like, she need to know basis, innit?
Yeah.
But she determines what I need to know.
Okay.
It's not what I think I need to know. It's what she thinks I need to know. So she'll tell me what she thinks I need to know.
Okay.
And other than that,
not much you can do about that.
I feel like that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But there's still a shift in power. Like, I feel like it doesn't really matter if you're a man or woman. I feel like sometimes, like you said, we try to push it too much because I need a certain amount of, I'm trying to grasp at any kind of power I can hold on to. And then for her or in my situation, it's been, well, I'm going to tell him what I want to tell him. I'm not going to tell him everything. And I know he wants to know about this, but I'm not going to tell him that. So it's almost like a power shift in a sense.
But it's understandable because co-parenting, like you said, it's not as grave as parallel parenting, but you're not mates. I think when you are, that's like great. You got great relationship, great communication, whatever it is. But when it comes down to it, like, you are my child's mother, you're my child's father. So I guess your expectations, you kind of have to look at it like, what do I want from this person? That's not my mate. We just need to have an understanding as to how to raise our child.
yeah. And I look at it like this, yeah. Like, your relationship with your child's mum, I feel should not change. Like, there should be boundaries in place, yeah, so that if what a lot of men do, in my experience, yeah, is they may still want to get back with their baby mum, right? So they're giving a bit more money, they're acting like this, they're acting like that. Soon as they find out that woman is now seeing someone else, everything changes. I'm not going to give you as much money. I'm not going to come see my child as often because I know you need me to come see my child so that you can go out. So now I'm going to start doing that. Your relationship with that woman was based on the fact that you wanted to get back with her. That's not cool. To me, that's not cool. Like, how you and your co-parent are should be how you are throughout life. So if you then get with someone, it doesn't change your relationship. If, I don't know, something else happens, that person has another child, it doesn't change your relationship. But a lot of people have a relationship based on the circumstance. You know what? She's single. It may still work. That becomes toxic in my eyes.
Very, very toxic. I'll agree with that. In my case, I'm obviously not. Well, I'm not getting back with my son's mum. But when I finally realized that, and then started to see other people, and then told her about me seeing someone else. Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. It was mad. But you know what? We're slowly getting there. But
Did you move on first?
Did I move on? In terms of a full-on relationship, yeah.
Okay.
In terms of, you know what? Maybe she's not even telling me if she's moved on or not. I'll be very honest. But
You don't know.
again, it can't bother me because I'm in a relationship, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't really
Make a
You know what I
difference
mean?
to
It shouldn't
yourself.
make a difference. But at the end of the day, it's about Rome. It's about my son. It's about him being happy. And because I've made the decision to not go back there, it's made it more comfortable for me in a sense. And I feel like she'll probably get there at some certain point, basically. But it's just been an awkward one. I feel like when, like you said, men only base the communication or that relationship or the co-parenting relationship on whether on the fact that if she's single and you still want to get back with her and all the rest of it. When you decide that that's not going to happen, I'm only going to focus on the child. I still have love for you in a sense that I have respect for you, because you're my son's mum and all the rest of it. You're more. I feel like everything's more clear. It's less blurry. You're not trying to blur the lines. You're not trying to do too much or do too little. This is about the child or the children. So yeah, it's become. I'm laughing now because it's easy now. My boy, when I told her about someone else, oh my gosh, she's probably gonna kill me for this. But yeah, it wasn't as easy as I made it sound. But boy. Yeah.
You had the punching bag in the attic.
Mate, I just had to bite my tongue and just be like, you know what? I get it. But yeah, man.
Well, if we talk about stats here, there's 2.4 million separated families within the UK.
That's crazy.
Within that, there's, I think, 3.5 million children from those separated families. That in itself tells me that relationships are not working. Why?
Instagram.
We need to, man, just the one word, innit, man?
Literally.
I'm joking, it's not Instagram.
But like, that to me is something that I feel like isn't actually looked into. Why are we having these kind of dysfunctional relationships? Why did you and your baby mum not work out? Why did me and my children's mums not work out? Why are we doing that? Why are we necessarily carrying on that baby mum, baby dad? You know
we
what?
Actually tried to eradicate as well. We tried to, and it's still, why is it ending up like that, basically?
It's a bigger picture. It's a bigger picture question and a bigger picture answer. May even be a whole new episode, but yeah, because those numbers are staggering. And I think when you think about society today as well, I think a lot of the problems we see within society, the family structure or the lack of family structure, the traditional one anyway, I think definitely plays a part in what we see. I see it within education. You know, I taught in a specialist school for children with social, emotional, and mental health issues. So like in the classroom, that would just look like, you know, badly behaved children, like the worst of the worst. And so I taught those children for 5 years, and about, I'd say 80% of my class, of my pupils, none of them had, 100% of those children, none of them were living with both of their parents. They didn't have both mum and dad in their life. Like about 60-70% of them were actually in care anyway, so they didn't have both parents. But no matter what their family status was, they didn't have the dynamic of living and being raised by both mum and dad. And when you look at the makeup of the children that went to that school, a lot of what they experienced, early childhood trauma, adverse childhood experiences, you know, abuse, whatever it was, you can make a link between the fact that they didn't have that family structure of both mum and dad raising them together, whether they were living together or not. And I think that plays a part in a lot of the issues that we see with children. So I would say definitely that question is a big question that we need to be asking ourselves, not just as a community, but I think just generally, like that's a sociology dissertation for someone.
For me, looking back on it though, like I got into relationships that were not right for me because what I viewed love as, if I'm going deep, my version of what I was never really shown growing up, what the love between a man and a woman was. I remember, you seen Baby Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, infamous film, right? Like
Man like Tyrese.
Man Like Tyrese. You see, there's a part in it, yeah, where she's like, I hate you. And he's like, I hate you too. And next minute they're having sex.
Mm.
Yeah. To me, I was like, that's bad.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's the one. When a girl, like, there's so much anger and frustration, but she loves you.
Passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that was a toxic relationship, yeah, when you really look at it. But I looked at that as, I want a girl like that, you know?
Like, no matter what.
Because I did not understand, to me, that I had an unrealistic expectation of what love is. Yeah. As I've grown, and to me, sorry, like being real, like as I now feel more connected to like my Christian side and the Bible, understanding like in 1 Corinthians 13, it tells you about love is patient, love is kind, love holds no notes of wrongdoings, and all of that. That's when you realize, you know what? If we kind of follow that path and have an actual definition of what love is, we're probably going to start to look at people a bit differently and say, you know what? Yeah, this isn't right for me. Or they can't feed me what I need here. So let me move on. But we stay in toxic situations. We then have a child from it. We then realize, this isn't right for me. But we haven't realized what is right for us. And then we go and do it again and again and again and again.
But we're talking from the point of view of people getting into relationships and making bad decisions and choosing them. But actually there's a culture within that culture where people aren't having children because they got with someone and then it didn't work out. They're just having sex and
bang.
Yeah, that's it. You've got a child now, and you know you got to make a decision. You're going to be there for that child.
Got twins, some people.
Oh yeah, you know. Imagine those one night stands where you had triplets. Now CSA knocking on your door, you know. But listen, that was your decision. You didn't want to get with her. You didn't want to get married to, you know. But obviously, no judgment. But that, you know, we've all grown up in an era, and I don't even know what the dynamics are now because obviously we're, you know, pushing on 30 or maybe 30 plus. The way things were when we were younger, I had no concept or understanding of, you know, actually I lied. Sorry, I did, but that's because of my parents. My parents made it very clear from young, you do not bring a baby into this house. So like no matter what I may have been getting into, in the back of my mind, there was no stupidity that was about to just come out because the girl was piff. No matter how piff you were, I can't bring a baby home at any point. That's just the fear that I had. You know, obviously if that happened, it happened. But, you know, it was kind of explicitly taught to me, you don't do that. And obviously I come from a Christian background. So my mum, she kind of put that in us from young anyway. You know, you get married before you have children.
There's a pathway.
Yeah, so I had that instruction. There are many people that, you know, I was raised with who just didn't get that kind of instruction or that kind of like understanding of like, this is just the way to do it. Whether you like it or not, this is what you do. And I think that lack of kind of maybe knowledge or culture or understanding about maybe, I wouldn't say it's the right thing to do because I know that that's a personal thing. I'm a Christian, so come up from a Christian background where I was told that's the right thing to do. There are people out there that would be like, you love who you love. And we was made to have sex. And when you have sex, if you have children, you have children. That's the way the world goes. Lil Wayne will tell you that. He says, what? Marriage. Yeah, have you seen what I've got? Like, I'm here to make children, you know. So I understand perspectives, but I do think it's detrimental when we have children and those children don't have parents that can co-parent, whether they're together or not. I think that is quite detrimental.
You know what? Just going back though, because I think this is a helpful point. That when we talk about co-parenting, everything we've touched on, new partners, finances, all of that. Have you ever heard of a parenting agreement?
No.
Vaguely, yeah.
So one of the things I like to work on when I chat to people, and one of the things that I looked into and I think is really beneficial is it might not be able to happen as soon as you break up with someone, but to sit down with that person and go through what is a parenting agreement is kind of like you will have it will be unique to you as a couple, things that you feel are going to be important. So you would touch on finances. Okay, what is our agreement when it comes to finances? Okay, I'm going to pay this much. I'll also cover school uniforms. I'll also do this, also do that. Okay, what is our agreement when it comes to routine? Okay, I'm going to see the child here. What about communication? Okay, we'll communicate through this point. What about school? What about new partners? Okay, if I get with someone, I'll let you know at this stage. Yeah, you've highlighted everything that could possibly come up. So at no point should anyone be surprised or pissed off.
I feel like that's easier said than done. I definitely have I didn't even know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
What's it called? A
Parenting agreement.
Parenting agreement. And I was gonna say, all of those things were highlighted.
None of them
I
happened.
always laugh.
Well, it's not a legal document, to be fair.
That's the thing, innit? I think that's probably why. It was just, it's easy because we could talk about it now. And then when it actually happens, you're like, raw, I'm not agreed. I didn't agree to that anyway. Who came up with that stupid?
Show me the paperwork.
Exactly.
Was this written down?
Nah, that's the thing.
So it
wasn't
verbal kind of thing?
It was more verbal, but we keep to our word. We definitely try to keep to our word. She's definitely one of those people, and I'm the same. Yeah. If I say and I promise something, I'll definitely. I don't want to break that promise. I want you to always trust me, and I'm that kind of person. My mom's always raised me like that. So if we came up with like we laid down the blueprint, and we said if you meet someone new, the finances, have him every other weekend, and then pick him up from school at this time, and so on and so forth. We've had those discussions.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, sometimes you're like, nah, man, I'm not a dickhead for no reason. Like, why are we so angry at each other? Like, but
probably Arsenal lost that weekend, and he was like, I'm not having this, man.
I'm not doing this, and then he's like, Daddy, but honestly, we've had a parenting agreement. I didn't know that's what it was called, but it is easier said than done. But things do get easier after a while. Like that's the point I was trying to make. Things do get easier as long as you're communicating, as long as you're trying to see it from the same point of view, and you're trying to be less what's it called, selfless, and not trying to be selfish, and not trying to use a child as a weapon and all those things there.
Yeah.
Just focus on the child, and you're trying to make it easy for each other. It's not like one parent's trying to gain, they're not trying to get one up on the other.
It's not a competition, isn't it?
And again, because you've communicated that these are not necessarily the boundaries, but this is the blueprint. This is what's going to help us get through this and raise the child to the best of our ability. If I meet someone new, like you said, at what stage can I introduce that person? Even though I was laid down, that was still difficult. But even trying to tell the person that, because in my situation, I was engaged with my son's mum, and then we got all the way to a certain point, and then obviously things broke down. But again, we've laid it down. Trying to communicate those points is not that easy, but it gets easier after a while.
But you have to do it.
And that's the thing.
Your point is that you have to do it to have that agreement. Yeah.
And one more thing, yeah. Just because I was speaking about this the other day, and my dad is an example of this. Like, I don't rate my dad, so I'll say it. Like, so my dad was never working. Yeah, my dad was doing whatever he was doing to make money, but was never on the system. Yeah, so my mum couldn't get a penny out of him. Yeah, I think when I turned 18 or 19, I think he finally might have got his own mortgage or something like that. He's on the system now. So they find him, get hold of him. You owe 16K or something. Yeah,
They could do that.
They backdated.
I didn't know that.
So
my mum's OPs, bro.
So
I didn't know
so
that.
it was like he said I sat with him once and he was like, I got this letter, I owe this amount. But it wouldn't go to my mum. That money is not for my mum. That money is for the government or whatever. It doesn't go back to, because they look at it as like, I guess the government look at it as like, we compensate for the lack of support. So therefore, he owes us, not the mum.
How the hell did they compensate? How did they?
I guess benefits.
And they'll probably tax him on top of that.
So
anyway, the government is a whole other conversation. Don't even annoy me.
So for women out there, yeah, I feel like it's we need to be real when we talk about things like this. Yeah, there's certain men on road that sell drugs, right, and are able to give their child's mum £400 a week or some ridiculous amount. Yeah, if you take a man like that to the CSA, you're not going to get a thing because he's not on record as having any money. So situations like that are very difficult because the man is in control to be able to buoy the woman off and say, actually, I'm only giving you 100 this month or this. Therefore, again, you got to be mindful who you're sleeping with and who you're bringing children into the world with.
It's a great point.
Please do not try and take anyone selling drugs to the CSA. It's not going to work in your favor. Just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, no, a very, very important point to end on. Listen, gents, it's been a great episode. Thank you again. I'm hoping our listeners benefited from that. I certainly did. Learn lots about co-parenting, what it is, the dynamics of it. And just to conclude, we said for co-parenting to work, our gents on the show have said communication is key, trust is key. not being a Man United fan
Always helps.
helps size 6 feet of the guy you're dating. No, I'm joking. But listen, gents, again, thank you. And for our listeners, those of you who are listening today and watching, we want to bless you. So if you go on the Goodman Factory page, type in www.goodmanfactory.com, get yourself a wonderful beard product for yourself or for a family member. If we just kind of zoom in into the beards that we got on the show now, this is the reason why you got to look after your beards, man. So I'm saying this is why you can keep lying and saying you're 21 every single year, because of these great beards. So yeah, listen, go bless yourself. But anyway, we'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.
Peace.